areas that I'd like to follow if I do get the chance to go to Beacon Hill.
Have you thought a long time ago that you would first run for school committee and then maybe be a town councilor and then run for state rep? I mean, has the state rep or even another office beyond state rep been a goal of yours?
Well, I would say that's something I've thought about all my life. I was 18 years old when I ran for my first public office in Milford, Massachusetts. And at the time, you had to run to be a member of town meeting.
Okay.
And I ran successfully. I remember going door to door at 18 years old. They thought I was the paper boy, but I was there soliciting signatures for nomination papers. I served that term, and my family in Milford were very active politically, and it was something that I had always set my sights on. It was around 2001 when September 11th occurred that I realized I didn't think I was giving back to my community as much as I really should have, and I wanted to get back into public service. Getting onto the school committee gave me that start, and I always looked and admired the work that Jim Valley did at the State House, and always thought to myself, I'd like to do that someday, and should Jim Valley ever decide to step down, then I will decide to step up, and that occurred in April.
Would you rather be Speaker of the House or Governor?
I'd rather be a state representative from Franklin and Medway.
Is there a specific, how do I say, the platform that you're running on? Are there some issues that you're bringing before the people that you're asking people to consider
Yes.
to vote for you on?
I'm running on three main themes. The first being jobs in the economy. I don't think we're going to do anything as a local community, as a state, or as a country until we get our economy in order. And I think as a government, we have to come up with ways that we can help people help themselves. And I think there are tremendous opportunities out there for the state government to get involved through grant programs, through innovation programs, ways to capture and help small businesses succeed through loan programs, or whatever way we can help people get access to capital, help people build their businesses, help people create jobs. So jobs in the economy would be priority number one. Following on the heels of that is quality education, and I think that actually goes hand in hand with jobs in the economy. We need to educate our kids for jobs that we don't even know exist, to get them out there so they're educated. We know the importance of a college education and the difference it will make on the income that children can earn when they get out into the workforce. So quality education goes hand in hand with job creation and getting this economy back on track. And then my third notion is civility in government. And I think, like most Americans, I'm frustrated that government seems to be about people beating one another up. And people are afraid of compromise. Compromise is seen as a dirty word, and people don't want to work together. That's not going to help our country, it's not going to help our state, it's not going to help our local community. And I want to bring a level of civility to government. I've worked with some of the toughest people in local government, and I've seen people who come to school committee meetings who have been charged emotionally because they're dealing with their children's education. And being able to work through those problems and work with people who are challenging, to say the least, I think was one of the strengths that I brought in my role as chairman of the school committee, and I'd like to bring that strength with me to Beacon Hill to get people to work together and understand that by working together we can make this state a great place to work and live.
The State House of Representatives has been, and I anticipate will continue to be overwhelmingly democratic. So when you say civility and working together, I gather you're talking about among the members of the House and not necessarily among political parties.
Right. Among members of the House, there is some fighting among members of opposite parties. On those occasions when you have a Republican governor working with a democratically controlled House and Senate, you need to bridge those differences in philosophy and understand that you need to come together for the common good. And people need to work together because it's the only way you get things done. I think the greatest lesson that I've learned, I ride in the Pan Mass Challenge. I've done that. I'm going to ride my 10th ride this year. And that ride and that event has taught me that when you bring together a small group or a large group of people who are committed to a common goal, they can accomplish great things. And it's an event that I've made a part of my life every summer for 10 years, and it's an event that I expect to make a part of my life going forward, because it reminds me every August that yes, people can come together and do great things if they focus and work as a team. And that's the type of spirit that I'd like to bring to Beacon Hill.
Well, let me ask this. You're an attorney.
Yes.
And apparently you represent plaintiffs in civil action in a legal system.
Yes.
The legal system is adversarial. Would you have recommendations, and do you have training in mediation? I mean, do you see changes that could take place in the legal system that would tend to be more mediation than confrontational?
Sure.
And do you see implementing different procedures in the State House to be more of a mediation type of process to bring laws forth?
Well, I will say that I've enjoyed 26 years being a trial lawyer, and I can't think of a better justice system anywhere in the world than what we have here in the United States. That being said, I often, when I meet with a client and I describe to them the jury trial process, I make them understand that you're taking your dispute and something that you're invested with in your life, and you're turning it over to 12 people who know nothing about you, who haven't experienced what you've experienced, and probably don't want to be there in that jury room to begin with. And you're leaving that dispute to 12 disinterested people. If you explored something like mediation, you actually take that controversy in your own hands and you engage in a process that allows you to control your own destiny and make your own decisions. So in my practice, I encourage any client of mine to participate in that process. I would love to see more court-ordered mediation of disputes, because oftentimes when people get involved in a lawsuit, they become emotionally invested. They spend a lot of money that they don't have to spend, and they're just simply fighting one another. When you bring them together in a room with an impartial mediator, sometimes you're able to break through that anxiety and that anger and develop a result that's not everybody walks out of a mediation happy. And the sign of a successful mediation is when both parties walk away from it a little bit disappointed. And I would like to see more of that alternative dispute resolution rather than taxing our courts and leaving disputes to be settled that way.
You mentioned education in higher education. In the 8th grade, parents have an important decision to make, and students have an important decision to make, whether, in essence, to take a course of study that would lead to college, or courses of study that would lead to a more trade-orientated education.
Right.
Massachusetts has great alternatives. They have the Tri-County, which offers a wide range of different opportunities, and many people probably not aware that Essex Agricultural School in Walpole, Franklin students can also go there. Maybe it's not today so much on agriculture as it is small motors or different trades. But I think Susie Osmond might be right that learning a trade as opposed to being in debt for student loans may be, in many cases, a better alternative. Sure. Would you agree with that? Or?
I would say absolutely. I mean, Tri-County is a great program, and we can't have all students with psychology or business degrees. We need people who are going to go into the trades. We need people who are going to become veterinarians, go to the Norfolk Aggie and study animal care. We need people who are going to be plumbers. We need good plumbers. We need good electricians. God knows you have a problem in your house. It's a difficult task to find somebody to come and do that work. So, we need all facets, and I think Franklin is unique in having these assets. The Franklin High School, which will prepare you very well for college. Tri-County will prepare you well for a trade or college. Many of those students themselves go on to college, and the same thing with Norfolk Aggie. The beauty is that whatever it is that you love to do, whatever your passion is, you have an opportunity in this community to follow your passion. And if you do follow your passion, you're going to be a much more happy individual and you'll have a successful life.
Student loans many people are having a lot of difficulty in repaying them. And you can't declare bankruptcy. If you declare bankruptcy, student loans are exempt from bankruptcy. Would you favor changing the bankruptcy law that at least part or some of the student loan could be disposed of?
That's a very difficult question because, number one, the bankruptcy laws would be handled by the United States Congress, so I don't know that I would have much input on that process. But I certainly have a deep understanding of what these students are going through. I know when I graduated from college in 1986, I had somewhere on the order of $80,000 in student loans. It made a difference in the type of jobs that I could look for. I couldn't go into a public service job that was not going to pay me enough that I could make my student loan payments. I had to look for a job that was going to pay me enough that would allow me to make those loans. So loans in and of themselves made a decision for me about the type of career I could explore. And that's 25 years ago. Now kids are graduating with hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans. A private university in Massachusetts or in the New England area, it's not uncommon for the bill to be $50,000, $55,000 a year. Over 4 years, that's over $200,000. Making college affordable and giving people an opportunity to get that education and then not be saddled with debt is something that I think as a nation we have to revisit. And I know the bill to maintain student loan interest rates at the current rate was something that was a matter of controversy in Congress. And if you add on a higher interest rate to that enormous debt, you really don't give people an opportunity to get ahead. And
why should we be adding on a higher interest rate when the federal government guarantees payment?
Right. I think
I think the student loan program needs drastic revision. But I also think people need to think about whether they really should be incurring that debt in the first place.
Right.
Let's go on to, I guess, something